I pulled into my own driveway at 11:17 p.m. Bone-tired after a 14-hour haul. And found police lights turning my front porch into a disco from hell. The officer's flashlight hit me square in the face. "Sir, step away from the vehicle. You're trespassing on my own property." That's when Patty Voss, the queen of Evergreen Shores HOA, stepped out from behind the cruiser with the smuggest little smile you've ever seen. Like she'd just caught a raccoon in her organic kale garden. Ethan Brooks here. 52 years old. Long-haul trucker. Divorced. 2 grown kids who mostly text me memes. 3 years ago I inherited my grandfather's lakefront cabin on what used to be open Colorado land. Grandpa built every board himself in 1989 with nothing but stubbornness and a skill saw. I plan to fix it up. Park my rig out back. And finally sit still long enough to watch the sun rise over the water without a dispatcher yelling in my ear. Then the developers showed up in 2020 and dropped 48 beige McMansions around my 2 acres like expensive Legos. Suddenly I was grandfathered into Evergreen Shores HOA. And Patty Voss became my new full-time hobby. Patty was 64. Former corporate compliance officer. Drove a white Range Rover that probably had its own HOA violation for being too shiny. She wore pastel yoga pants to board meetings and spoke in that soft, concerned voice people use right before they ruin your life. We're all in this together. Ethan. The covenants protect everyone's property values. Translation: do exactly what I say or I'll bury you in fines. At first I played nice. She sent me a certified letter about my unsightly truck. I moved it behind the cabin. She complained my dock blocked the community view shed. I reminded her my dock was older than her subdivision. She smiled that tight little smile and said, "The board will discuss it." I started documenting everything. Quietly. Security cameras went up the same week she demanded I repaint my trim Serenity beige. Motion sensors on the dock the day she cited me for excessive wildlife attraction because I hung a bird feeder. I smiled, nodded, and kept receipts like a man who'd learned the hard way that patience is a loaded weapon. 3 months ago things got weird. Lights on in the cabin when I was in Nebraska. Mail forwarding to a P.O. box I never opened. My water bill jumped like I was filling an Olympic pool. I figured it was teenagers or a glitch. Then my neighbor Floyd, 78. Ex-Marine. Zero tolerance for nonsense, texted me a photo. Some blonde woman in designer athleisure carrying groceries into my back door like she owned the place. Her name was Sophia Vale. 30-something mindfulness coach from Austin. According to Patty, she was legally house-sitting my abandoned property while I was off living my transient lifestyle. I sat on that information for 3 weeks. Watched. Waited. Let them get comfortable. Big mistake on their part. I killed the engine and stepped out slow. House keys dangling from my finger like a peace offering. Officer Ramirez looked tired. Officer Bennett looked like he'd already seen this movie and knew the ending sucked. Patty adjusted her pearl necklace and delivered her line like she'd rehearsed it in the mirror. "Officer. This gentleman abandoned the property weeks ago. Ms. Vale has been caring for it under a proper agreement. He's clearly trespassing." Sophia appeared in the doorway wearing my dead wife's favorite robe, the faded blue one with the coffee stain on the sleeve, and sipping from my grandfather's favorite mug. She gave a little wave. "Hi, officers. Thank God you're here. He's been sending me threatening messages for weeks." I didn't yell. I didn't swing. I just pulled out my phone, opened the cloud app, and hit play. 4K footage. Timestamped. Sophia picking the lock on my back door exactly 11 days after I left for my Denver run. Her carrying boxes in. Her installing what looked suspiciously like crypto mining rigs in my basement. Her hosting exclusive sunrise yoga retreats on my dock for $450 a head while posting Instagram stories about authentic Colorado lakefront healing. Patty's smile froze so hard I heard it crack. Officer Bennett raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, you got a lease agreement?" Sophia produced papers faster than a magician. Forged signature. Backdated 6 months. Looked official if you didn't know my actual signature looks like a seismograph during an earthquake. Patty jumped in. Voice dripping concern. "We're simply protecting community standards. Abandoned properties bring down values for everyone. We're all in this together." I smiled for the first time that night. "Patty, you keep saying that like it's a magic spell. But last I checked, the covenants don't cover grand theft real estate." The next 6 weeks were a masterclass in bureaucratic warfare. Patty filed 43 separate violations. My grass was 0.7 inches too tall in one spot. My truck was visually disruptive. I was harboring commercial activity because Sophia had been running paid wellness retreats on my land. The health department got an anonymous tip about unsanitary conditions that somehow traced back to her hot tub parties. I kept quiet. Kept recording. Kept paying my lawyer in Denver to laugh at their paperwork. Then came the county hearing. Patty showed up in a cream pantsuit like she was attending a funeral, mine. Preferably. She had a PowerPoint titled "Preserving Neighborhood Harmony." Sophia sat beside her dabbing fake tears with a tissue that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. The hearing officer looked like he needed a drink. Patty launched into her greatest hits. "Mr. Brooks has shown a blatant disregard for community standards. His lifestyle is incompatible with the vision of Evergreen Shores. We tried to work with him. We really did." I waited until she finished her performance. Then I slid a thumb drive across the table. "Officer, before you make any decisions, you might want to see this." The footage rolled. Sophia breaking in. Patty meeting her at the property line at 2 a.m. Handing over keys. Audio of Patty saying, "Clear as day. Once we establish adverse possession, we split the equity. My husband's LLC will handle the paperwork. Just keep him away long enough." The room went dead silent except for Patty's pearls clicking as her hands started shaking. She tried to recover. That's taken out of context. We were discussing community safety." I leaned back. Funny how community safety always seems to mean give me your lakefront for free. But the real nuke came 2 days later. My surveyor, old guy who knew my grandfather, called me at 6 a.m. "Ethan, you're gonna want to sit down. Turns out Grandpa's original 1989 survey had a 68-foot error due to a brutal snowstorm and a bad compass. My property line actually ran right through the backyards of 4 McMansions, including Patty's infinity pool, her $180,000 outdoor kitchen, and the community dock the HOA had been charging residents $2,400 a year to use. I owned their backyards. Legally. On paper. For 35 years. I called a meeting at the community clubhouse. Bright. Sunny Saturday morning. Kids playing. Dogs barking. Perfect suburban postcard. Patty stood at the front in full president mode, smiling that tight smile. "We're here to discuss the unfortunate misunderstanding with Mr. Brooks. The board has voted to offer a generous settlement to avoid further unpleasantness." I stood up slow. "Actually, Patty, I'm here to discuss eviction notices." I passed out the official survey. Highlighted the new property lines in bright yellow. You could hear the collective gasp from Aspen to Denver. Patty's face went through every stage of grief in 4 seconds flat: denial, anger, bargaining, and finally pure Unfiltered panic. Her mouth opened and closed like a guppy. The pearls came off in her trembling hands. That can't be right. The covenants clearly state. Covenants don't override deeds. Patty. And your pool? It's now an unauthorized structure on my land. Same for the dock everybody's been paying you to use. Hope the check's clear. Because I'm about to cash them as trespassing damages. One homeowner started slow clapping. Then another. Within 30 seconds the whole room was applauding while Patty stood there looking like she'd been slapped with her own rulebook. The FBI showed up 3 weeks later. Turns out Sophia wasn't just a wellness influencer. She was running the same scam in 3 states, partnering with local HOA presidents to target abandoned properties. Establish fake residency. Then push adverse possession while the real owner was away working. Patty had been her Colorado franchisee. They'd already moved on 2 other properties before mine. Federal agents in windbreakers. News vans. Patty doing the classic perp walk in handcuffs. Still trying to explain to reporters that she was just protecting property values. Sophia got extradited to Texas on separate warrants. The HOA board dissolved in a special emergency meeting that lasted 11 minutes. Homeowners voted to disband the whole thing and refund every fine they'd ever collected from me. I ended up with a 7-figure settlement from the civil suits. Plus back rent and damages on the 4 properties now legally mine. Patty's husband's LLC got hit with RICO charges. Their McMansion went into foreclosure. Last I heard. Patty's living in a condo in Aurora. No yard. No dock. No pearls. Just a very small balcony and a lot of time to reflect on how community standards taste when they're served cold. Me? I sit on Grandpa's dock most mornings now. Trucks parked where it belongs. Bird feeders still up. Grass is whatever length I damn well please. Sometimes I wave at the former HOA folks walking their dogs. They wave back real polite these days. Funny how that works. So here's the question. Folks, was Patty Voss just a dedicated neighborhood volunteer enforcing reasonable rules for everyone's benefit, or was she a greedy opportunist who finally got what she deserved when the system she worshipped turned around and bit her? Who was really breaking the law here, the trucker trying to keep his grandfather's legacy? Or the woman who weaponized paperwork to steal it? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if you've got your own HOA horror story, hit me with it. Because the next Karen might be coming for your backyard next.